A 19-year-old pregnant teen, racing to the hospital in the middle of labor, her baby's life on the line. She's minutes away from safety when a racist cop pulls her over, refusing to let her go. What happens next is so shocking it'll leave you speechless, and it all unfolds in mere moments. Comment where you're watching from, hit subscribe, and let's dive into this heart-pounding story. The sun blazed high in the Miami sky, the air thick with humidity and the faint scent of salt from the nearby ocean. Aaliyah Carter, a 19-year-old black teen, sat behind the wheel of her boyfriend's old Toyota Corolla, her hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned pale. She was 9 months pregnant, her belly swollen and heavy, and the contractions had started an hour ago, each one sharper and closer than the last. She was on her way to Mercy Hospital, just 10 minutes away, her best friend Keisha riding shotgun, trying to keep her calm. "Hold on, Aaliyah, we're almost there," Keisha said, her voice trembling as she rubbed Aaliyah's shoulder. "Breathe, girl, in and out like we practiced." Aaliyah nodded, her face twisted with pain. "I'm trying, Keisha," she gasped, her breath hitching as another contraction ripped through her. It hurt so bad. Sweat beaded on her forehead, and her dark curls stuck to her skin. She couldn't stop now, not when her baby was so close to arriving. Keisha glanced at the road ahead, her eyes wide with worry. "The hospital's right there, see? That sign, just a few more blocks." She pointed to a blue sign in the distance that read Mercy Hospital, a beacon of hope in the chaos. Aaliyah forced a weak smile, but her focus was on the road. She knew she was speeding, going 45 in a 30 zone, but she had no choice. The contractions were coming every 3 minutes now, and she could feel the pressure building. She'd read enough baby books to know what that meant. Her baby was coming whether she was ready or not. But then red and blue lights flashed in her rearview mirror, accompanied by a sharp siren blast. Aaliyah's heart sank, a cold wave of dread washing over her. "No, no, no," she whispered, her voice breaking. She glanced at Keisha, her eyes wide with panic. "Not now. Please, not now." Keisha turned in her seat, her mouth dropping open. "What's he doing? You're not even going that fast." She slammed her hand on the dashboard, frustration boiling over. "This can't be happening." Aaliyah took a shaky breath and pulled over to the side of the busy street, cars whizzing by on the main road. The hospital sign loomed ahead, so close yet so far. She fumbled for her phone, her hands trembling from both pain and fear, and hit record, propping it on the dashboard. "Just in case," she said, her voice barely audible. "I don't trust this." Keisha nodded, her eyes darting to the patrol car behind them. "Good idea. We don't know what he's gonna do." The patrol car door swung open and Officer Mark Reynolds stepped out, his boots hitting the pavement with a heavy thud. He was in his late 40s, stocky, with a buzz cut and a scowl etched deep into his face. His blue uniform was crisp, his badge gleaming in the sunlight, but his hand rested on his gun holster as he approached, a habit he'd developed over 20 years on the force. Reynolds had a reputation in Miami's poorer neighborhoods, strict, unyielding, and often harsher with black drivers than anyone else. To him, Aaliyah was just another target. Aaliyah rolled down her window, wincing as another contraction hit, her breath coming in short, ragged gasps. "Officer, please," she said, her voice desperate. "I'm in labor. I need to get to the hospital, it's right there." She pointed toward the sign, her hand shaking. Reynolds leaned down, his cold gray eyes narrowing as he looked her over. He took in her swollen belly, her sweat-soaked face, and the way her hands clutched the steering wheel, but his expression didn't soften. "License and registration," he said, his voice flat and icy, ignoring her plea entirely. Aaliyah's breath hitched, tears stinging her eyes. "Sir, I'm having a baby right now. I'm in labor. Please, I need to go to the hospital." Her voice cracked and she gripped her belly as another contraction rolled through her, her body trembling. Reynolds smirked, his gaze flicking to her stomach, then to Keisha, who sat frozen in the passenger seat. "You look fine to me," he said, his tone dripping with mockery. "License and registration now. Don't make me ask again." Keisha leaned forward, her voice sharp with anger. "She's not fine. She's in labor. Can't you see that? Let her go." Reynolds's smirk faded, his eyes hardening as he turned to Keisha. "You need to stay out of this," he snapped, his hand tightening on his holster. "I'm talking to her, not you." Aaliyah reached for her purse with shaky hands, pulling out her license and the car's registration. "Here," she said, handing them over, her voice weak. "Please just hurry. I can't wait." Reynolds took the documents without a word, flipping through them slowly, deliberately. He glanced at her license, reading her name aloud. "Aaliyah Carter. 17 years old. He looked up at her, his smirk returning. Aren't you a little young to be a mom? What, you walking around with that belly at school? Typical. Aaliyah's jaw clenched, a mix of pain and anger flashing in her eyes. Excuse me, she said, her voice low but firm. I'm 19 and I'm trying to get to the hospital. That's all you need to know. Reynolds chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. Whatever. Let's see here. He looked at the registration, his brow furrowing. This car's not in your name. It's registered to a Jamal Washington. Who's that? That's my boyfriend, Aaliyah said, her voice tight. It's his car. I'm borrowing it to get to the hospital. Reynolds raised an eyebrow, his tone mocking. Your boyfriend, huh? So you're driving his car, speeding through my streets, and you expect me to believe you're in labor? He shook his head, stepping back. Give me a minute to check this out. Don't move. Aaliyah's eyes filled with tears as he walked back to his patrol car, her body trembling with another contraction. Keisha, I can't do this, she whispered, her voice breaking. It hurts so much. I need to get there. Keisha grabbed her hand, squeezing it tightly. You're doing great, Aaliyah. Just hold on. We'll get through this. She pulled out her own phone, texting Jamal. I'm telling Jamal where we are. He's close, he'll come. Inside his patrol car, Reynolds sat with Aaliyah's license in hand, his jaw tight. He didn't believe her story. To him, she was just another black kid in a car she probably couldn't afford, making excuses to get out of a ticket. He'd seen it all before, or so he thought. He typed her name into his computer, running a background check. The screen showed no criminal record, just a clean slate, but that only made him more suspicious. She's too calm, he muttered to himself. She's hiding something. He grabbed his radio. Unit 45 to 82, traffic stop for speeding, Dickens and Ashbury, he said, his voice clipped. 10 to 4, the dispatcher replied. Reynolds leaned back, staring at the Toyota ahead. He could see Aaliyah hunched over in the driver's seat, her friend talking to her, but he didn't care. He'd dealt with plenty of sob stories in his 20 years on the force, and he wasn't about to let this girl play him. He stepped out of his car, walking back to her window with a slow, deliberate stride. Aaliyah looked up as he approached, her face pale with pain. Officer, please, can I go now? She asked, her voice pleading. I'm not lying, I'm in labor. My water just broke. She gestured to the seat beneath her, where a wet stain had spread, her eyes desperate. Reynolds glanced at the seat, his expression unchanged. Listen to me, young lady, he said, his voice low and threatening. You're gonna stay put and not move. You understand? Stop trying to make me feel sorry for you with your little, I'm pregnant, act. Are we clear? Aaliyah's tears spilled over, but she nodded, too afraid to argue. Yes, sir, she whispered, her voice trembling. Keisha couldn't hold back anymore. This is ridiculous, she shouted, her voice shaking with rage. Her water broke. She's not acting. Let her go. Reynolds turned to Keisha, his eyes flashing with anger. I told you to stay out of this, he snapped. One more word and I'll arrest you both. Aaliyah grabbed Keisha's arm, pulling her back. Don't, she whispered. I can't handle this getting worse. But inside she was terrified. The contractions were coming faster and she could feel the baby moving lower. She didn't have much time. Just then, a black SUV screeched to a stop behind the patrol car. Jamal Washington, Aaliyah's 21-year-old boyfriend, jumped out, his face a mask of panic and fury. He was tall and lean, wearing a t-shirt and jeans, his sneakers pounding the pavement as he ran toward the Toyota. Aaliyah, he shouted, his voice breaking. What's going on? Reynolds spun around, his hand dropping to his holster. Who the hell are you? He barked, stepping toward Jamal. Stay back. Stay back. Jamal raised his hands, his eyes locked on Aaliyah. I'm her boyfriend. She's pregnant, can't you see that? She needs to get to the hospital right now. Reynolds's face darkened, his hand gripping his gun. You need to calm down, kid, he growled. I'm handling this. Aaliyah cried out as another contraction hit, her voice echoing through the open window. Jamal, I can't wait anymore, she screamed, clutching her belly. It's coming. Jamal took a step forward, his voice desperate. Officer, please, her water broke. She was only speeding because she had to. Let her go. Reynolds's patience snapped. It's not my fault she's pregnant, he shouted, pulling his gun from its holster and pointing it at Jamal. I'm not gonna say this again. If you don't calm down, I'll arrest you. The street erupted into chaos. Bystanders who had been watching from a distance began to gather, pulling out their phones to record. A woman across the street gasped, "He's got a gun." A man shouted, "She's in labor, you idiot." Keisha, still in the car, grabbed her phone and started live streaming, her hands shaking as she narrated. "This cop won't let my friend go to the hospital. She's in labor and he's pointing a gun at her boyfriend." Aaliyah's cries grew louder, her body shaking with pain. "Jamal, I can't hold on," she screamed, her voice raw. "The baby's coming." Jamal's eyes filled with tears, but he didn't back down. "Officer, she's in dire need." "What, are you blind? Let her go." Reynolds's face twisted with rage. "You're both under arrest," he shouted, stepping closer to Jamal, the gun still raised. The crowd grew louder, their voices a mix of anger and fear. The live stream on Keisha's phone was climbing. 10,000 views, then 20,000, then 50,000 in minutes. Comments flooded in, "This is disgusting. She's in labor, let her go. Racist cop." But then a new voice cut through the chaos, sharp and commanding. "Officer, stop this right now." A woman in blue scrubs pushed through the crowd, her badge identifying her as Nurse Elena Rivera from Mercy Hospital. She'd been walking to her car after a long shift when she saw the commotion. Her eyes locked on Aaliyah, recognizing the signs of advanced labor immediately. Reynolds turned, his gun still raised. "Stay back," he shouted, but Elena didn't flinch. "I'm a nurse from Mercy Hospital," she said, her voice steady. "That girl is in labor and she needs to get to the ER now. If you don't let her go, you're endangering her life and her baby's. Everyone's watching, this is on you." The crowd erupted in cheers, their phones still recording. Reynolds's face paled, his hand trembling as he lowered the gun. The weight of the situation crashed down on him, the live stream, the nurse, the growing crowd. He couldn't fight this. Jamal rushed to Aaliyah's side, opening the car door and helping her out. "Come on baby, we're going," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Elena joined them, supporting Aaliyah as they hurried to Jamal's SUV. "I'll drive," Elena said. "We'll get her there in time." As they sped off, sirens wailed in the distance. A black and white patrol car pulled up, and Police Chief Daniel Harris stepped out, his face grim. He'd been alerted by Aaliyah's doctor at Mercy Hospital, who'd seen the live stream and called him directly. The chief approached Reynolds, who stood frozen, the crowd still filming. "Officer Reynolds, you're suspended effective immediately," Chief Harris said, his voice cold. "Hand over your badge and gun. Internal Affairs will handle this." Reynolds's mouth opened, but no words came. He unclipped his badge and holster, handing them over with shaking hands. The live stream hit 100,000 views, then 200,000 as hashtags like #JusticeForAliyah trended worldwide. By the time Aaliyah reached the hospital, the video had gone viral and Reynolds's career was over. The police department issued a statement that evening. "Officer Mark Reynolds has been terminated for misconduct and endangering a civilian's life." At Mercy Hospital, Aaliyah gave birth to a healthy baby girl whom she named Hope. Jamal and Keisha stood by her side, tears of joy streaming down their faces as they held the newborn. Elena, the nurse who'd saved the day, visited them later, smiling warmly. "You're a fighter, Aaliyah," she said. "You did amazing." Aaliyah looked at her daughter, her heart full. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking. "If it weren't for you, I don't know what would have happened." Back on the street, Reynolds sat in his car, his career in ruins, his name plastered across every news outlet. The world had seen his actions and justice had come swiftly. Aaliyah's story became a rallying cry for change, a reminder that no one, not even a cop with a badge, can escape accountability when the truth is out. If you believe in justice, share this story. Subscribe for more tales of courage and truth, and let's keep fighting for what's right.